What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital. We're here with Douglas Borthwick, Chief Business Officer at INX, the digital company. How are you doing today, Douglas?
I'm great. How are you? Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So, INX is the world's first and only company to do an IPO for an SEC registered digital security. Can you tell us more about the company and what you offer?
Sure. That's a bit of a tongue twister. The company was formed late 2017 when we saw the ICO craze. And our founder, Shai Datika, saw that and said, this is crazy. Doesn't make sense. You can raise money from the public without going through the SEC. And he went to the SEC and he said, this is nuts. But I want to do something of a similar nature. I want to be able to raise money through a website from regular folks, retail institutions, and accredited investors, like the whole gamut. And they said, we have to put together a full prospectus. So Shai sat down with Ernst & Young, the auditors, and MWE, a law firm. And between them, over 950 days, they hacked through and produced a prospectus offering, which was declared effective by the SEC in August of 2020. We opened up a website and raised money from 7,250 people. We raised around $83 million from 7,250 people in 74 countries. Average age was 42 years old. Now, we raised the capital because we wanted to offer something that no one else was offering. We wanted retail all the way through institutions to be able to trade digital products. And we took that capital and we ended up investing in a number of different things. We acquired a registered broker dealer and ATS for digital assets called Open Finance. We bought a transfer agent and we bought an interdealer broker. We also acquired 31 MT licenses, that's money transmitter licenses across the United States. And we're applying obviously for the rest of the US. So we can offer everything from cryptocurrencies to digital securities, otherwise known as security tokens. And we'll be able to offer them from everyone from retail to institutions. Now, the interdealer broker was interesting because it's been in business for around 20 years. It was called ILS Brokers and deals with around 50 tier one banks. And banks are very interested in digital. They're very interested in crypto, obviously, but also in digital securities. The head of the SEC about a year ago said, in the next 3 to 5 years, he thinks all digital assets all assets will move onto the blockchain. So that's all equities as well. Now, the current market cap as of this week is around $2 trillion for blockchain securities, but equities is like 115 trillion, fixed income around 130 trillion. You move all that into the blockchain, you need a company that can help you do that. And INX has really set the table to be able to do just that.
Very interesting. So how is the company able to offer such an attractive share of its revenue to token holders?
Well, token holders don't own equity in the company. Token holders own 40% of our cumulative net operating cash flow. And that means that let's say we have a profit and that profit was $100 million on a cumulative basis, then 40% of that, or 40 cents, would go to each token holder based upon, there's about 100 million tokens out there in the market right now. We came to that number. Really, it's sort of a seesaw, right? You've got to offer investors enough that they're interested, but also keep something for the company. That 60% is held by the equity, and the equity we just listed as of this week on the NEO exchange under INXD.
Interesting. So what are digital securities and how is the company using them to completely revolutionize digital asset trading?
Well, a regular equity trades between 9:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the evening. It's pretty much run, out of the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. And the custody is done at a custodian like a Morgan Stanley or Fidelity or that sort of thing. What a digital asset is in the simplest form is something that settles on the blockchain that you can self-custody in, let's say, a MetaMask wallet that trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So that's about 5 times more trading time than otherwise. Now, if you're in Japan, China, India, and you want to trade US equities today, you got to do it in the US time zone. Mm-hmm. How about if you could trade it in your own time zone? So we've gone out there, we've created these digital securities, and it doesn't have to be related to equity per se, like traditional equity. It could be related to future cash flows or really, a million different things. I guess it's infinite in terms of how you slice and dice it. So a digital security is something that settles on the blockchain, that you can self-custody, that trades constantly.
Very interesting. So INX holds several licenses in the US to operate crypto trading and digital securities platforms. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. To trade cryptocurrencies in the United States, you need something called MT, or money transmitter licenses, and you have to apply to every single state and territory for those. So obviously, we've gone out and we've gotten a whole bunch of them, and we should have all of them by the end of this year. On top of that, you also have to, if you want to trade digital securities, you have to work with FINRA and the SEC towards doing something like that. And that's something that we've been doing. And we got that with the license that we got from Open Finance, which is now INX Securities. Now it's very, very particular. You can have a regular securities license, but that doesn't mean that you can have an ATS for the trading of digital securities. So it's a very particular type of license that we got. The nuance is always in the details. But now we're able to offer crypto and digital securities.
Fantastic. So the company recently signed a deal with ALK Capital, owner of the English Premier League's Burnley Football Club, to list a publicly traded digital security. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I can only really tell you what's public, and that's we signed an LOI, a letter of intent, to help them with the structuring and then listing of a security that would be linked to a lot of different things. It could be linked to game day revenue, or it could be linked to transfer fees. When you have a football club that has a tremendous amount of followers, or if you have any company that has a tremendous amount of followers, digital securities are a great way to engage with your fan base or your followers, because you can allow them to be part of the future. I think a lot of the time someone goes to a football game and they enjoy a beer, they enjoy some pie and beans, and then they cheers each other afterwards. But wouldn't it be nice if you could actually get part of the revenues that come from that? And I think that that's something that, we're putting together with them, and it should be very, very exciting, because I think that a lot of Premier League teams get their capital from, let's say, overseas. And I think we saw that recently with Newcastle. I think that Burnley really wants to look inside and go to their fan base and say, guys, do you want to be part of us?
Yeah, that's very unique. So, what are some of the key features of INX's proprietary trading platform, and how is it different from other crypto trading platforms? Like, where can investors find more information as well about the platform?
Well, you can go to INX.co, and we detail very, very well, I think, what we offer. You can also go to the Edgar database, and that you can read our prospectus, or you can go to CEDAR and look at our prospectus in Canada. But the net of it is our platform has cryptocurrencies, and obviously we have digital securities, and we find a way to weave the needle or thread the needle between both of them. And, we've got an app that's coming out in late February, early March, that's going to allow people to trade cryptocurrencies. But then in summer, at the end of the summer, we're coming up with another app where you can trade digital securities and cryptocurrencies back and forth between the two. And I think that that's going to be very, very exciting.
Definitely. So INX recently completed the acquisition of ILS Brokers. Can you tell us more about this and how it benefits the company?
Sure. ILS Brokers has been in business for around 20 years, deals with 50 tier 1, tier 2 banks, mostly in currencies and interest rate products. But from talking to the banks, we figured out that they want something to do with cryptocurrency. Now, they don't want to have delivery of, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum, but they certainly want to be able to have the volatility and be able to pass that on to their clients. And a lot of clients want to buy Bitcoin, but they want their bank to tell them how to do it and offer products. Now, traditionally, they could turn around and say, well, why don't you just go buy GBTC? That's great for Barry Silbert, not really good for them. But if they could take non-deliverable forwards and we can help them create those and then trade them amongst themselves, then they can create a yield curve. That yield curve could go into commercial paper, all sorts of different assets that they can create on their balance sheet and then sell to individuals, which is a lot better for banks. And by buying this brokerage, it meant that we can deal with these banks. We can talk to them immediately. We can get on the floor with them and really start mapping out what the digital future is going to be for banks in a derivative environment, but also in a spot environment as well.
Wow, that's very interesting. So the team at INX blends financial technology, capital markets, and banking experience, bringing it all together in one company. Can you tell us more about this highly talented team?
Sure. Well, just from the start, when Shai Datika, who's a magnetic personality, when he went out there and he said, listen, I'm trying to do this. And Charlie Liu, who invented Litecoin, was one of the early investors. Ricardo Spagni, who's right behind Monero, was also an early investor. There's your blockchain space. My colleague in New York's Alan Silbert. He was one of the first guys to offer to be able to offer a real estate project where you could buy things with cryptocurrency. We've got Jonathan Azarwal, who's pretty well known in the space for having a company called BSave. BSave was the first place that you could go to a marketplace where you could lend and borrow Bitcoin. He ended up selling that to Alex Mashinsky, who created Celsius. We also have Paz Diamant, who's our CTO. He was at eToroX. And then our board of directors, I think, is something that a lot of people know these names. David Wield, who's the chairman of the board, was the vice chairman of NASDAQ, and also the founder of the Jobs Act, Tom Lewis, who's the CEO of Ameritrade, and Nick Thedany, who's well known in Canada as the CEO of Toronto Stock Exchange. So, we really like blended together a good batch of blockchain folks and legacy finance folks. And one thing that's really important is that a lot of folks that are in this business, in the crypto business, they came from it from a technology side, but they don't understand the rules when it comes to finance. And this isn't like Facebook. You can't run out there, break things, and then expect to fix it. When it comes to financial regulation in the United States, you have to work with the regulators in the passenger seat rather than the rearview mirror. So I think that we've been a bit of a tortoise rather than a hare, but sometimes the tortoise wins.
That's for sure. It sounds like you guys have quite the team and experience. So are there any key catalysts coming down the pipeline in the coming months for INX that investors should watch out for?
Well, I think that the app's going to be very exciting. When the app comes out, we'll be able to direct people directly there rather than to a website right now. That app's going to be late February, early March. We've got the other app that's coming out at the end of the summer. That's going to be very exciting, where you can trade both cryptocurrencies and securities in one app. And marketing, really is going to start to begin in February. And that's when we really go out there and try to bring folks in. Last weekend I spent at Daytona Speedway working with those folks on something called the Roar 24 with Rolex. And, we're now getting into a lot of the advertising space and going out there to acquire customers. And that's going to be very important to us. But on top of that, we're also going to be listing, phenomenal securities companies that have come to us and said, we want to raise money. And whether that's Bitcoin miners looking they've already bought the land, they've bought the power. Now they need to buy the actual miners that are on boats coming out of China. We'll be raising capital for them. We're raising capital for apps that are being put together that are looking to raise capital. Where obviously you talked about ALK Capital. They have something like 600,000 followers on social media. Our view is to go out there and find communities, bring them together, bring them to INX where they can all play in the same sandbox.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the year for you guys. I'm excited to cover it. So if investors want to learn more information about the company or get in touch, where should they go?
Well, if you want to trade the token's available on INX Securities at securities.inx.co. If you want to trade the equity, you can find that in trades on the NEO exchange in Canada. And if you want to find out about the company, you can go to inx.co or look up at INX Group on Twitter or at DC Borthwick. That's my Twitter handle.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Douglas. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for all the information, and I look forward to continuing to cover your company. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. Thank you so much.
If you like these videos, kindly hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Drop us a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And finally, always remember, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you're making your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. Furthermore, this video may or may not have been sponsored by the companies that we've profiled within this video, and we may or may not own shares of any of the profiled companies in this video. If you want to know the full disclosure details, check the description down below, along with thoroughly reading our disclaimer. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.